Okay, now we'll do solid waste.
Government bills.
We just did solid waste, do government buildings, and check it off yet.
Okay. Full-time line, 69,384. Part-time, 87,87. FICA, 4,847. Medicare, 1,134. Uniforms, 200. Contract services, 21,674. That was an increase in the cleaning of the police and the town hall, with adding 2 strip and wax on the tile floors per year for both buildings. So there was an increase in that cleaning line.
Okay.
Professional services, $1. Electric, 8,600. Heat, 8,000. Water, 5,000. Sewer, 0. Phone, 0. Government building supplies, 2,997. Postage, 10. Fuel, 7,000. That's an increase. I currently have $100 in that line left for the year.
Okay.
So I increased that line. Government buildings maintenance, 20,000. Cemetery maintenance, 5,000. Equipment maintenance, 1,000. Equipment purchase, 564. Lease, 1,000. And miscellaneous, $1. The only thing that's not on this, and I'm waiting for Recreation to get back to me, is we had a quote for the ball field to be taken care of by Fred Cameron. And it got taken out of my hands and got put into the Rec Commission's hand.
Right.
Back when we talked about this. And I brought it up to the Rec Department since then. One of us needs to have that money, I think, in their budget. Whether you want to put it in the government buildings budget or whether Recreation takes it and puts it in their rec budget. But I want to say it's like $7,000.
Yeah.
And I don't have the quote because I gave it to them when I got it. And I know they don't have it in their budget.
Now, what is that for the fields, for like maintenance?
It was maintenance, it's a maintenance agreement with Cameron's for slit seeding the field, weed and grub control. I think he was going to sod the infield. And that's doing this, every year. Mm-hmm. So it's something that would be an ongoing maintenance to try to revitalize that field.
Right.
The field is in poor shape.
Yeah, I know it is.
And him and I had even discussed removing the irrigation and replacing it and doing it together if that needs be when he gets into revitalizing the field.
Now, if you're gonna move the irrigation, is that, you gonna dig the whole field up, or just?
Yeah, but it would happen in the summertime when there's no kids playing on it. From what I understand...
what I was getting at, you're talking one by the beach, right?
Yeah.
Would it make sense at that time to relocate, reposition the diamond?
I don't know that you can, because I don't think you have the room anyway. I think it fits in there pretty much the way it fits in.
I was just thinking about the balls, going on the road. If we could reposition diamond.
Well, I don't know. That'd be something you'd have to ask somebody that could lay out a field.
Yeah.
That's not something I know how to do.
There's something to think about, if it gets to that point.
But I think that...
So this was put in the Recs
Well,
Commissioner?
I don't know. It depends on where you guys want to put it. I mean, the selectmen are ultimately responsible for town properties.
Right.
But this has been a back and forth thing that the town maintains it or the rec maintains it. So it's whoever's going to do it, I think we need to put something in one of those budgets to take care of that field and bring it back.
Yeah, I think we need to get that question answered. Who is responsible for that beach, whether it be the town or recreation? You find out from Attorney Sessler. Because I remember that conversation. I mean, we brought the budget.
Right. I mean, before, you guys said, nope, Pat Smith's responsible for the fields.
Right.
Go take care of the field. So and then and it just happened to change back the other way.
I know they're responsible for the beach, but I think the fields, I think the town is, but we'll find out.
Right, and if we're gonna do this, it's something we're gonna have to budget for every year, and you're gonna have to let him come in and do the work he needs to do on it. And I think, and he says he can probably do it without shutting the field down.
Okay,
So, you know, if it's gonna go in the government buildings budget, I just need to know so that I can add that into that
Right.
maintenance line.
can you get that estimate back from Fred
I
again?
talked to Chris tonight, he was gonna talk to Karen or somebody to see if
If they
have
sell it.
that quote someplace.
If not, will Fred do it again?
I'll have to ask him,
Okay,
okay?
I have a copy of you too.
okay. All right, thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Chief Marik. Fire Department.
Nice, look at that.
Wait a minute, is this three department heads trying to outdo each other or what?
No, I'm just late, so everybody else already handed it.
No, I'm talking about the little folder, you know, and a nice little clip. And
Keep it neat. I'm fine.
Yeah,
Do you wanna go through here?
Yep. Stop at the top and, what's that?
Which packet do you wanna go through?
The Excel.
Yeah, the Excel.
Alright. So the full-time salary is the two full-time firefighters. 111,332 some change. That includes the COLA and merit raise.
Yep,
Part-time salary line, that's for the call firefighters, and other administrative duties and tasks such as training, details, so on and so forth. The $10,000 increase represents a couple things. It represents the pay scale adjustment that we talked about last
Right,
meeting.
right.
And it also represents the increase in call volume. Basically, the way I calculate that is I take an average of the past several years, what that line has cost, multiply it out, make any adjustments. If it looks high, then I bring it back and then try to control it on the other end the following year.
okay.
So there's not, it's hard because there's no consistency to it, you know what I mean?
Right,
The elected salary, 36,286, 47, that's with the COLA and merit as requested.
hit that one again? I'm looking at the spreadsheet and I've got 35,682.
Yep, I made an update today.
You have your,
Oh, I'm sorry, look at the wrong one. Okay,
When I originally calculated it, I calculated it on the beginning of last year's rate. I didn't calculate it on the July rate, so I
Okay.
got that earlier. FICA represents all of the salary lines with the exception of the full-time line. So that's New Hampshire retirement. Medicare, same thing, 34,1647. New Hampshire retirement is up. There's an increase in July, up to 29% from 27 and change.
okay,
So that's 31,673.98.
okay,
Training, the same at 6,800. Employee testing, I did 4 background checks at $166 for the 4 of them. Uniforms is up again. Every year, you guys approve it, and every year it goes to default, so we have to start the battle all over again. The cost of uniforms is up, so in addition to the fit set that I've been trying to get,
Right.
there's an increase in uniforms up to like $1,900 as opposed to $17 that it was a couple years ago. Any questions on that at all, or?
nope.
Okay.
So it's only, it's like, what, $600 over what you requested last year? A little more than 600,
12.5 to 13.9.
right,
Yep.
I have seen a lot of the uniforms, they're outdated.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't wanna go into a burning fire with an old suit.
And that's the thing, I mean, 10 years, they're automatically out of service, but sometimes they only last 5 years. It depends on how active the person is, how many fires they go into. There's so many variables that go into it, and you just gotta take into account, and there's no, it's not like you can, you know, put it off and, oh, we'll wait another year on that one, because it is a safety risk.
yep,
Contracted services, 12,621.80. That's up a little bit. We added computer backup. As you know, my computer crashed last year and I had absolutely no backup, so I had to start from scratch. So 2 of the computers are backed up online every second that they're on, so. There's a couple of the small things that went up. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to go back and look at the details, but the majority of that increase is from the online backup. Electric, that's up 3%. That was a general request that came through to us.
yep,
Heat, I went up $700. We're already, I believe, 170 overspent.
Okay.
Still have 3 months to go. I know it was a cold winter last year, but I feel
Another one coming this
comfortable
year.
with a little bit extra money.
another cold one this year, they're saying.
So, I don't know, if, like, who knows what the next 2 months is gonna bring, but I expect that to be barely enough, but we'll see. Water, for the domestic water, $16.80. Dry hydrant, it's $1 in there. Apparently there wasn't $1 in there before, but the line still has been there, so.
Right,
I put the $1 in this year. Hydrant fees stay $4,200. Telephones went up $300 to $2,820. And we got rid of the cell phones, but we added the iPads.
right,
And that was kind of a wash. There's really been no consistency with cell phones over the last 5 years. We've always been adding hotspots for the ambulances, for the cardiac monitors, so this 2820 is a true representation of what I plan on having next year. Public education, again, that was approved last year, but it didn't make it in due to the default.
right,
That's $600, and that's, you know, stuff for the kids for fire prevention week at the schools and CPR supplies. I dropped the printing and postage line to $100 from $800. And that's because we have the copier now.
okay,
I left the $100 in there for the postage.
right.
And I haven't actually, Liz, do you know when we're gonna get our meter?
I don't.
Okay, so I might be able to adjust that once I figure out what we use this year.
Okay,
Supplies, $4,536, that's up $1,000. The exhaust filtration system, we gotta replace those filters.
all the
every
filters?
year.
Okay,
And that's what that represents.
yep,
That's not enough money to do it every year like we're supposed to, but I was thinking if I could, at the end of the year, do half of them and then half at the beginning of the year, the following year, and stretch it a little bit.
okay,
That'll probably catch up and get us at some point, but for now, the extra $1,000 will get us started on that.
okay,
Gasoline, it's up $600 to $3,000. That's already overexpended or near overexpended. And a lot of that's due to putting cartoon in service. It's been
Okay.
going to Durham and Manchester for classes,
right,
which has been awesome, sending them down to Durham because they're all passing. As opposed to previous classes, the pass rate hasn't been so great.
that's the old cruiser.
Yep.
Got you, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it's designed for.
Yep. But I also did notice a decrease in ambulance fuel the last few months too, where it's driven around during the day for inspections and
Right.
errands and stuff.
Yep,
Diesel fuel, I looked at that today, we're on track, will probably be a little bit over, so that's
Okay.
up 180 to 6180. Vehicle maintenance, same at 14,000. The payment for engine 6 is in there at 41,000, which is the same. Equipment maintenance, That's the same at 7,500. I had it at 7,900 earlier.
Right.
I got an invoice for something for the hose testing. It was $500 cheaper than I expected.
Okay,
And part of that reason is a lot of our extra hose has been failing. So we
right,
don't have as much hose to test, so it becomes cheaper. Which is a disadvantage in the long run because we don't have extra hose. Which plays into why the equipment purchase line is up to 16.5.
okay,
Our 4-inch supply hose is going on 20, 25 years old. It's from the early 90s, a lot of it.
wow,
I plan on replacing about 1,000 feet a year for the next 3 years. That's $5,800. So if we left it at 11,000 and I had to take $5,800 to buy the hose out, then I wouldn't have enough money to do everything else I typically do with that line.
okay,
The other thing too is the radios in the trucks, the onboard radios.
yeah,
They're not, they're outdated, meaning just like Chief Krause's radios went out last year, you can't get parts for them, so if they break, you need to buy a new one, which is another reason I wanted to bump that line up.
okay.
And same thing with our portable radios.
Do you know what your radios are?
Chief, what's the latest mobile?
$3,800 each.
3,800.
Okay,
So, and then same thing with portable radios. They're currently, they have parts available for another year, I believe, on ours, whereas yours are outdated, right?
Which ones do you have?
We got them a year or two after you guys.
Yeah, they might.
They don't make them anymore, but they carry the parts for another year or two.
Right.
I don't remember exactly when it was, but I want to start buying a few of those every
yep,
year.
yep,
And eventually, we're gonna have to buy a large sum, but not until we get the CIP up and running. So we have 40 portable radios right now.
okay,
But I'd like to maintain at least the officers every year, try to get a couple, so we're not having issues with them like we are.
all right,
But again, that line at 16.5 doesn't even cover what I need it to, but I gotta get it up slowly. It always seems to be the line that gets hit every year.
yeah,
I know it used to be at 14,000 and then slowly got bumped down to 11. Equipment lease is 1572. That represents the copy machine.
right,
And that's also gonna free up some money in supplies. Even though the supply budget went up, it's offset with other stuff. Dollar and mileage and travel. Any travel expenses for training are in the training line.
okay,
I don't separate them. Nothing miscellaneous. And then the per diem line, that stays at 26,000. Right now, we're at, I know that was an issue last year because we hadn't spent it all.
right,
We're at 21,000 this year, so basically all the night shifts are getting covered.
good,
That'll be fully spent, if not over this year. If it goes over too much, we can transfer the remainder to the revolving account,
okay,
so. And that's where I'm at.
all right. Questions, guys?
And if you didn't look through the binder, there's a lot more descriptive.
Right, yeah, I was looking at this, trying to follow this
Breakdown of
one.
each line that had more than one thing taken out of it. I didn't do the general Medicare.
Do you want your plastic coverings back?
Nope,
Okay,
you can have them.
those things I'll probably take and staple them together. All right,
Price of being safe, right? Gonna do it.
emergency management,
$4,000 for the salary and $1 for training. Same as last year.
yep. For the emergency management director, correct. And we appointed you as that now?
Yes.
Correct, yes, good. Okay. Did you want to touch base on that symposium thing that you gave me the paperwork on?
If you want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I know it's not on the budget, I'm not on the budget, on the agenda, but Nick had, the day of the elections, had asked me, I'm gonna hand this back to you, so you can probably explain it better than I could. The day of the elections, he asked, he talked to me about that, and I was gonna bring it up tonight, but if he's here, he could do a better justice than I probably could.
I know so I talked to Tom, I asked him to bring this up tonight. I know we talked about going to a conference in Baltimore earlier in the year, and it got a little ugly at the time, but we haven't touched the training money yet this year, and a big chunk of the training money is to send some of the firefighters to conferences somewhere. So, no hard feelings either way, but I wanted to bring it to your attention, let you know that this one is coming. One of the captains asked if he could go to it. Like I said, the money's in the budget specifically for it. And I figured the total cost to be $2,500, and that's for 2 people to go. That includes the hotel, the conference, and the flight. It is in early November. So I just figured for discussion purposes, see what you guys thought. Now that we're later in the year, we have a better grasp on the budget. I know that was kind of the issue at the time.
Right.
But like I said, either way.
Now, what does that cover? I didn't get a chance to look it over.
Yep. I'll actually, if you want, I'll pass it around. But
Yeah.
it's basically leadership, management, and tactics and strategies training. There are, different fire chiefs, instructors from all over the country. They all meet down there. And Devin and I went 3 years ago, 2011. We thought it was really good.
Yeah.
So if I can get a captain or a lieutenant, or I'm not available to go this year. So this would be in place of the Baltimore trip that we had done the previous 2 years.
Right.
Since 2010, we've been lucky enough to send somebody somewhere for various conferences, so.
This is already in the budget?
Yep. I hate to see it go away. So I figured, now that we're later in the year, I know that was an issue being a default year. I think we spent less than $1,000 out of the $6,800 in training this year.
So part of their trip too is to come back and bring that stuff back to the department. So they're supposed to incorporate everything they get from the conference and come back and hold trainings for the rest of the department and share that information so that everybody gets a piece of it.
Okay.
Hand that around so you can look at some of the classes.
Not to hold up the meeting, but why don't you just leave this with us, me and Andy haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold the meeting up.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Not to rush you or anything, but it is getting to the point where we need to make a decision.
when do you need,
Yo.
is there a sign-up time?
I was gonna say, what's the
We
deadline?
missed one of the deadlines to get a cheaper rate, but the other issue is flights and hotels. I hate to go 2 more weeks, but if we need to, I guess, it is what it is, so.
We have another meeting scheduled at 29th,
Yes.
7 days.
Whatever,
Yeah.
it's gonna be tight, but especially with flights, makes me nervous with the cost.
Go ahead, take him out, look it over.
I can scan that tomorrow and email it to all
Scan it?
3 of you. Yeah, scan it on the
Oh, they said
photocopy.
scam it.
Scan.
That's what he's doing. Wait a minute.
And then,
Yeah.
You know, training's key for
Oh, I agree.
departments, okay? And,
I totally agree.
Well, it's already in the budget.
yeah. It's,
It's not like they're asking for more money.
I know.
It's there.
Yeah, there's some history behind this. That's why I was just questioning it, that's all. I think if you would agree with me, you ought to move forward with this.
Make a motion.
It's gonna save you money and get it.
Make a motion. Let 'em-
All right, this trip's to Baltimore, right?
No, this
No,
one is.
this is to, Florida somewhere, if I remember correctly.
Let me have it back so I can.
Clearwater.
Hey, Steve.
So long. For the date of November 6th, from
Yeah.
6th to the 8th.
They're only going the conference, they're not gonna go to the pre.